and his 3 daughters. How many know to lose one family member is a devastating event? I lost my mother, more devastating to me than I thought I would be. You know what I'm saying? I had to regroup quick because I had to preach her funeral. Come on, somebody. But imagine not losing one of your children, but all 7 of your sons and all 3 of your beautiful little baby girls. They all died in one day. Who you gonna blame? Job also lost his 3,000 head camel business. He had 3,000 camels, and he ran a business with those camels. He would rent them out to people. You rent my camel, ride to the next city and ride back. You can rent my camel to carry your load from one city to another. He had a camel business, and not just 3 rental cars. He had 3,000 rental cars. Now, imagine you got a business with 3,000 rental cars. Now we're talking about Job. Matter of fact, let me throw this in there. I have it in my notes here that the Bible says that he was the greatest man in the East. There wasn't nobody like Job. The baddest man in the East. Everybody knew Job. You run a 3,000 head camel business, everybody gonna know you. And that same Job was a worshiper of God. And he did it continually. He lost his 7,000 head sheep business. He had 7,000 sheep. And he lost his sheep business. Them boys would grow that wool. And he would shade that stuff off. And he would sell that to everybody in the East. So they can make their clothes. They make their Prada and their Fubus and all that stuff. Job started all that. Can you imagine what kind of money you can make with 7,000 sheep? 7,000. That's a whole lot of wool. That's a whole lot of money too. He lost that business. He lost his 500 head oxen business. Now really, I'm messing up the numbers here because it really was a yoke of oxen, which could be, 5 or 6 or 7. But so multiply the number 500 by 6 or 7 or whatever, and you got how many oxen he had. And these were the workhorses that he didn't have no John Deere. He had oxen that worked it for him. Oxen. He lost his workforce that worked his farms. He lost his 500 head of she-asses. And let me just bring all this together because I got a few minutes here. So in one day, Job lost all of his businesses. All 7 of his sons and all 3 of his beautiful baby girls gone in one day. Who you gonna blame? We cry if one sheep get lost. Oh, God, I've been serving you all my life. How could you allow me to lose a sheep? We cry if the oxen are moving a little slow that day. And we ain't going to even talk about the she-asses. We had a problem with them from the beginning. But this man lost all of this in one day. haven't lost nothing. You have more now than what you've had in your whole life. Right now, as we sit here, you have more in your life than what you've ever had, but you're acting like you've lost something. But let me keep it positive. Let's keep it positive. So Job has run into a serious issue. Lost all his income, lost his whole family. What is a brother to do? Shaved his head. He didn't pray. He should have, but he didn't. Shaved his head and went and sat out in the backyard. Didn't pray. Didn't ask the Lord for help. He went, and y'all stay with me for a second. Just stay with me. He went and sat in the backyard and just sat there. Didn't do nothing. Just sat there and complained. And you know what his thinking was. He had some friends. Somebody said, I got friends. He got friends. He had friends too. You get money, you got friends. You notice they just became your friend. I'll be very leery of people who just show up when you get money. But anyway, let me just. Why did they want to instruct you when you ain't have no money? Why now that you got money, they want to say, well, this is what you do. Well, where were you before? But anyway, I don't need your instruction. You don't even go to church. Anyway. How's they going to instruct? You got money, now they want to tell you what to do with it. No, the same God that gave me this money can show me what to do with it. I don't need no heathen to come tell me what to do with it. You don't even go to church, girl. Plus, you're going to mix that doctrine with a little something crazy. Anyway, I got to stay focused. We got somewhere to go. Lord, help me stay focused. Help me. We got to get this. So Job is in the backyard with the dogs. Sitting on a rock, crying. How did Job handle this situation? Number one, he complained about it. We're familiar with that. Job did what comes natural. He complained about it. What else did Job do with his problem? Number two, he had great discussions with his friends about it. His friends came over and met him in the backyard, and they sat down with him, and they just sat there for days looking at him saying, look how pitiful Job looks. How far the great have fallen. The third thing that Job did is he used profanity. He profaned everything. He profaned the moon, the sun, the stars. He would have profaned you if you were sitting there with him. His wife, being a prophet of the devil, picked up on what he was doing. Said, well, since you're going to curse everything else, she said, go on, brother, and curse God and die and leave me the house. I'm not going to tell you where she was from. Y'all don't want to know. I encourage you, don't even go to the Bible to find out where his wife was from. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. She said, brother, go on, curse God and die. It's over. You know she was done once those businesses got full. Once those businesses was gone. She was like, brother, we done. I got somebody else, man. You just sitting back here in the backyard. See, y'all making me get distracted. Let's stay focused. Stay focused. So how did Job handle his problem? He complained about it. He had great discussions with his friends, and he just started cursing whatever ran in front of his eyes. When he was sitting out the back and the sun came up, I curse you, sun. When the sun went down, the moon came up, I curse you, moon. Anybody ever been there? You just growl at everything that's around you. So upset, just don't tell me about no King James. Don't want to hear nothing about no prayer. So Job's friends show up, and they have a camp in the back of the yard, and they were sitting out back with him for a couple of days. They just looking at him. How pitiful. You know, they've been a little jealous the whole time. So now they got time to release their words. I don't remember their name, but the three of them, they get up and they start going at Job one by one. Basically, their idea is, Job, and they did it spiritually. Job, you know that God don't do nothing like this to a righteous man. Y'all better come on now. That sound like the church. Come on. Then another one gets up and says, Brother Job, you know that God always punishes sin. The third one gets up and said, Job, I think you just need to start repenting, brother, of what you've done, because we know you have done something. There was a young man, I don't mean to give a discourse on the whole book, but there was a young man that was just sitting there with them, just kind of watching. His name was Elihu. He said, I've listened to all of y'all. And he says, because you brothers are aged, I've given y'all a chance to speak. He said, now, but let wisdom speak. I'm not even going to begin to say what he said. Let's just say we won't get no further if I do that. But anyway, go back and read it. So Elihu begins to come and begins to bring some of God's wisdom into Job's situation. But Job, after hearing Elihu basically said, Job, the issue is